Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Today is Sunday, September 6th, 2020. I think I got that right. Yeah. Computer says Sunday, September 2006. It is 9:55 a.m. Um, I just really want to be a little bit of encouragement this morning. On Friday, a friend, a Facebook friend, posted a concern that she had about our pandemic situation, pandemic response. And she said, if we really are in this together, why are so many people struggling with mental health? Why are so many people struggling in so many different ways? And it seems as if the response to this pandemic is so deficient that we, the people, are paying a very high cost. And I just really wanted to respond to that. Um, she said, like I responded, and she said, you know what, Adia, life is so tough. I'm summarizing what she said. Life is so tough. There's so many challenges, and not everyone has the same resources that you have. And when I read that, I just paused, I inhaled on it, and I didn't know what to say. Rare, yes. Didn't know what to say. Um, because I was just like, not everyone has the same resources that I have. Wow. Where? Which resources? What is that? Like, and as I paused to think about it, I realized something that maybe I hadn't been quite as aware of uh, throughout this whole thing. Because in the first 2 months of the pandemic, as it became apparent that we were being affected by a pandemic, and there was a response to attempt to curtail the the spread of the disease that the virus caused. I I'm pretty sure that I felt the same anxiety that everybody else felt. That first few weeks, probably the first month, I spent so much time checking the statistics. That is a tricky word to say, statistics. I checked the stats and like repeatedly focusing so much on how many people were dying and how many people were getting sick, and so much forgetting to focus on the people who recovered, and forgetting also to focus on the hope and the light that existed around us. And I stopped doing that, recognizing that my children were beginning to follow my lead. They were actually checking the stats as well. And almost every hour they're like, Mom, do you know, even after I realized I was doing it and I stopped, my children were following and had continued. Mom, do you know how many people have died? Do you know how many people? Look at what. And I would say, guys, this is not what we do. This is not our life. This is not the life that God has taught us to live. We have been through challenges. We have experienced so many things that are just really very difficult. Like, and God has always taught us to focus more on the light, on the solutions, to see the darkness, be very aware of it, be very honest about the struggle, but to focus on the light, on the things that we can do, on the solutions that we can find, and to keep putting one foot in front of the other, moving forward and doing the best that we can to share light with others as well. And so we continued to do that. I really like, and it's crazy because from the beginning we actually had done that. As soon as we realized that this was happening, I was just like, hey, let's start getting some light out here. We did some incognito drop offs. Like when I would go walking when we were in the stay at home phase in BC, I'd go walking in the mornings with little Max, and I would sing. Why? Because there was so much focus on the things that were hard. People were feeling anxious. They weren't sure whether they were going to live or die. Nobody knew whether they were going to make money or not. And those are things, those are real concerns. Are we going to be living at the end of this? Like, how many people are going to get sick? How many people are going to die? And will we have the money that we need to meet our basic needs? At least our basic needs. Those are actual, real concerns. And so I was like, there's so much focus on this. When I'd go walking, I would take my phone with me anyway, and I would keep a song in my heart, play a song, keep a song in my heart, and sing it. And I would just like, even if it's discordant, at some point, I know that the Spirit of God will take that song and the notes that may hit somebody's window, and He will transform it. And by the time it gets to them, it will be the perfect rainbow that they need. I didn't have to worry a thing about a thing. I just sang. And as I was walking one morning as well, I heard singing coming from a window of a house on the street behind us. And there was a little girl with her head stuck out the window, and she was singing her little heart out and just singing so loudly, definitely with the intention of lighting the neighborhood, lightening the neighborhood with her song. And I said hi to her, and she said hi to me. And then a few mornings later, I was walking by again, and she stuck her head out the window. She was singing again, and she stuck her head out the window, and she's like, "I love your dog. He's so cute, and I love your dress." And I said, "You're awesome. Keep bringing light to the neighborhood." And then a few weeks later, she was downstairs with her dad, and I think the first few times I saw her, I wasn't wearing my glasses, so I didn't see her super clearly. And then she was downstairs with her dad, and I said to her, "Hey, were you the little singer?" And she's like, "Yes, I was." And I was like, "Keep singing, honey, you are awesome." And her dad laughed, and we had a good laugh, and the morning was brightened, and we continued on our day. Those are the resources that I have tapped into in order to keep hope alive during this whole pandemic situation. But I think my story, I feel like the Spirit is just saying to me, your story is one that can bring light at this time. Like, I don't know that I actually know for certain that I do not have more resources available to me than anyone else. 100% know that. Because if we're talking about like monetary resources, even people, the resource that we are, the very, very valuable resource that we are individually, that's not even something that is super readily available to me. But God has definitely guided me along this very difficult road that we walk to see that as long as I have Him, or we are most definitely, He will guide us to the place and the places, people, and things that we need, and He will guide us to the places, people, and things that need us. And together, we have been just killing it. That is the way our family has thrived before COVID, and it's definitely the path which I allowed God to turn me back to remind me that this is the path on which we walk. It reminded me this morning of the story of Peter in Luke chapter 5, from verse 1 to verse 9, where Jesus is preaching on the beach. He looks across, he sees these two fishing boats, which were where the fishermen were just washing out their empty nets. They didn't know what was going to happen. Like, they had tried fishing all night. They'd come up empty. Jesus came by and he was like, "Hey, what's going on? Throw your nets back out." They threw the nets over, and when they pulled them in, the nets were full to the point of breaking. This is the same experience that the little boy had on the mountaintop when a multitude of people, the Bible says 5,000 men plus women and children, needed to be fed, and there was no food in sight. And this little boy gave his loaves, 5 loaves and 2 fish, and put into Jesus's hands. That little bit of lunch fed 5,000 plus people. That is the life I live. Those are the resources available to me. I have resolved to give God the 5 loaves and 2 fish that I have, whatever that is. I remember to put it into his hand. And when I remember, I hand it over readily. Sometimes I forget, and he reminds me, you have what you need. You have me. Give me the little bit that you have, and I will multiply it. I will do way more. We don't need a big table to share what we have. Our fridge does not need to be overflowing with food to help feed somebody else. Our house does not need to be massive. We can share whatever we have, put into the master's hand. We definitely have enough. We are actually in this together. We can share everything that we have. We can share ourselves. If yourself is all that you have, offer to help someone, and that blessing of giving will return to, like, you will, your spirits, my spirit, like your spirit will be lifted in a way far greater than you could ever ask or dream or imagine. As a single mama, honey, I have taken my children with me everywhere. While I was working with families actively as a foster parent, my 2 girls, I didn't generally have help with them. So, like, I had nowhere to leave them when I had to get my bonus children to visit their birth parents. If I had appointments, I generally had nowhere, no person with whom to leave my girls when they were younger. They came with me to do everything that I was doing. They're involved in every aspect of my life because we just had each other. And at least that's what I thought. Maybe there were people who were available, but they didn't make themselves known, and I was blind to them. So that might have been the case, but my children just came with me. I just continued to do what I needed to do. And I looked to God for help and guidance. At the beginning of every school year, I used to cry, wondering, like, God, what am I going to do this year? Like, what is the best option for my kids? You know the difficult place from which they have come. You know the mountains that they have climbed in their lives already, and you know that they are intent on doing well. How can I support that determination in them? Where is the best place? Who are the best people? How will I get this done? And even though it has been incredibly difficult, He has guided me every single year to the point now where I don't have the same kind of tears. Do I have concerns? Most definitely yes, because I want my children to have the best resources possible for them. And so I I still have those concerns. I still pray, and even this year God's given an answer, and I'm just like, God, I'm trusting you. Like, I will just wait to see how this plays out, because I don't know that it's I know that it's the best. I can't say it's not the best, because it is his answer, but I am just waiting to see. It would not have been, in my wisdom, which I know is not perfect wisdom, in my wisdom, it would not have been the answer that I chose. But he's guided me to this place, and so I know that we're going to make the absolute best of this year. And I have to be obedient to him in doing that. And so those are the resources that I have. Our Father in heaven, who is described for us in Ezekiel chapter 1 and Revelation 4. If you never had an image in your head of what God looks like, read those 2 chapters today, Ezekiel chapter 1 and Revelation 4, and you will have a perfectly clear picture of the actual Father who loves you. The Father in whom I have perfect confidence, because he has walked through life with me. He's been through an incredible healing journey with me. I have felt his presence physically. And so when I say to you that my belief is not based on somebody's vacuous teaching, it is based on the myriad moments, the myriad days of solid partnership with God. It is based on the healing journey that we have followed together. It is based on feeling him wrapped around me. Like, honestly, guys, feeling a hug such as I have absolutely never felt before. And it was a hug that brought immense peace, immense joy to my heart that morning in November several years ago, where I had gone through a journey with God. I had a divine appointment with one of my mamas in Israel, who just spoke life into the situation in which I was at that time. And the next morning, when I knelt to pray, it was, I cannot share with you the incredible peace, the full embrace that I felt. So I have literally felt my father's hands around me, my father's arms surround me, and know that he guides me. So when I say to you that we definitely have the same resources, open your hearts to him. Just let his peace fill your soul and know that we will get through this COVID issue, this very shaky economic time together. That is his promise, and his promises are sure. I have banked on them, and I'm confident that you can bank on them too. I love you all. May you know with certainty that the blessing of the Lord is on you. May you know that his blessing is on you and on your children, and may you feel his blessing. Know that his blessing will be on their children and their children to 1,000 generations. That is the song that I just carry in my heart. I love that song so much. May you live with that same knowledge. Have a wonderful Sunday. Peace out. Love you all.